Time for people to come in. Couple minutes. But yeah, I see a lot of people coming in already. Welcome. Okay, so we are 1 minute past, but I'm still gonna give everyone a couple more seconds. Okay, good. I think we can get started. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we wanted to welcome to this webinar, this webinar Q&A that we're doing with our partners, Accessiby. So I'm gonna invite you to look at the first slide. Today we're gonna talk about accessibility for NetSuite e-commerce, which in this case is SuiteCommerce. And I'll go ahead and do an introduction. I'm Natalia. I'm a project manager here at Tavano team. I might be your project manager, depending on who's attending. I see some familiar names. And I've been here for 3 years. And with me, I will have our esteemed guest from Accessiby, Josue. Do you want to do a brief hello to everyone?
Yeah. My name's Josue. I'm a partner success manager here at Accessiby. So I help, agencies as well as, website owners make their website a lot more inclusive and accessible through Accessiby.
Thank you, Josue. And then a little bit of an intro about Tavano. But before, I'm going to give you guys the agenda. We're going to have this brief introduction about Tavano team, who we are, and then we're going to have an introduction accessory, which is what we're all here for. Then we'll have the Q&A and a conclusion and a wrap up of everything that we discussed. Please keep in mind that any questions that we don't get to answer during the webinar will be answered afterwards. So no questions will be left unanswered. And I'm going to go ahead here with my slides, and I'm going to go for the first one, which is our introduction for Tavano. If you don't know us, Tavano team, we're an award-winning agency with 15 years of experience in NetSuite. And as you can see here, we build, connect, grow, and support NetSuite e-commerce. We offer that support. We have over 500 clients. We bring 29 ROI on average for the clients that have growth services with us. And we have over 160 merchants using our suite apps, which we have developed all over this 15 years. So that's a little bit in us, but I know you guys are all here for Accessibility. So I'm gonna just go ahead, Josue. All
Excellent.
yours.
Again, thank you guys all for joining today. I know this might be the first time some of you are hearing about accessibility, learning about accessibility. So I wanted to cover a few important topics with you guys today, like what web accessibility means to your online business, why it's important, how it ties to legal standards like the ADA. Also, I want to take a look at like real world advantages of having an accessible website, not only for legal compliance, but also for enhancing user experience as well as improving, search engine optimization, how to build a more stronger and trustworthy brand, as well as want to go over our tool Access Widget, which will help you out with all of that. So next slide. So web accessibility in its most simplest form is all about making websites usable for everybody, including people with disabilities. It ensures that the content can be navigated and understood by all users. Every website in America needs to follow a certain set of rules, behaviors, code standards, and design guidelines that were created by the W3C, and we call them the WCAG 2.1. Next slide. And what that is, so WCAG 2.1 is this 1,000-page guidebook that explains how an accessible website should look and operate for people with disabilities. There are many disabilities that are covered in these guidelines. For example, blind people who use screen readers to navigate the site, motor impaired individuals who only use the keyboard to navigate, epilepsy, color blindness, cognitive and learning disabilities, visual impairments, and more. Why this is important is that, the WCAG 2.1 at the AA level has now been adopted by governments all over the world, like, for example, the ADA. Next slide. So back in 2018, so a few years ago, the Department of Justice officially affirmed that websites are now considered public accommodations. Therefore, they must comply to Title III of the ADA. So just like how a physical location needs to make specific accommodations like a wheelchair ramp, accessible parking, accessible restrooms, same rules now apply to the internet. Next slide. And why this is important is because ever since this was announced, we've seen a trend of lawsuits and demand letters targeting businesses of all sizes, and it's been on an exponential rise year over year. What we've noticed is that most of these businesses who receive a demand letter or lawsuit tend to settle outside of court. And these settlement fees range from $20,000 to $50,000. And it's about $25,000 on average. And once a business settles, it's not like they could walk away from the situation. They still need to make their website accessible. So it's one of those situations where it's easy. It's a lot better to be, proactive than reactive to a situation like this. Next slide. And what it means for you guys, you guys have the opportunity to not only comply with accessibility regulations like the ADA, it also is going to open that door for more potential customers who otherwise may have been excluded. It ensures that they could use the website regardless of ability, which can lead to increased traffic, better customer satisfaction, as well as ultimately bringing you guys more sales. Next slide. So we've seen that in a way, accessibility and, SEO do go hand in hand, right? Like simple things like using proper heading structures, adding alt text images, making navigation a lot easier. What we've seen is that, what's good for accessibility is good for SEO. And SEMrush did do a study where they, studied inaccessible websites as well as accessible websites. And it goes to show that, accessible websites did have an increase in, in organic traffic just by making those simple adjustments. Next slide. Another thing, the disability community also has a lot of spending power, like in the trillions. We have to remember this community works, they have families, they run businesses, and this is usually an overlooked market. But by making, your website accessible, doing the right thing, you are opening the door to, customers who are loyal and it will bring, your clientele, your business a lot more customers through that. And next slide. And how does it bring loyalty? It shows that you are committed to all of your customers, right? When you can easily, use your website, they feel valued, they feel respected, and it does bring a positive experience that leads to trust, repeat business, as well as, word of mouth recommendations, making them stick with your brand long term. Next slide. And, even though in many cases, having an accessible website, making your website accessible can be difficult because you're going to need time, you're going to need resources as well as manpower. So in many different cases, we've seen a lot of people receive lawsuits because they didn't have, the ability to make their website accessible. But I have a solution for all of you guys. We have a way to make your website accessible, show that you're being inclusive, but also not breaking the bank or you limiting all of your resources. And that is our solution, Access Widget. Next slide. Access Widget is the first AI-powered machine learning software that was developed with the understanding that, business owners need a solution that is simple, it's immediate, it's affordable, and it's going to make your website accessible. Next slide. And it's broken up into two different components here. I don't know if you guys ever seen the little blue man on a website. Yeah, so the little blue man, it's two different parts. we have an interface that will allow you to make front-facing adjustments to your website, and it's going to be per session based. So how I will look at a certain website will be different from the way you look at a certain website. But with making those customizations, it's going to allow you to design a website how you feel without accessibility in mind, while allowing the end user to make customizations and changes when they see fit, right? Another thing is we have an AI technology that will remediate the back-end process of the website, right? AI is cool. It's going to do all the heavy lifting for you. What it's essentially going to do is it's going to enable, keyboard navigation on the website. It's going to allow you to go from links, menus, buttons, drop-down menus, as well as, carts. You could add things to cart. You could leave things on the cart. This will allow motor impaired individuals to actually navigate your website. And another thing, it's going to, fill in missing alt tags for you. So if an image, an ARIA label are missing any type of accurate description on it, our AI technology will actually go in and use a combination of OCR technology as well as iris technology to explain what is going on in the image, as well as pull embedded text into the image as well. Next slide. And it's a simple, straightforward process, right? It's a single line of code. It takes about 5 minutes to install, and it can be integrated with any CMS platform. Once you install our code onto the website, our little blue man will appear there right away. Once that happens, our AI kicks in, and in about a 48-hour turnaround period, the process is completed. Your website is accessible. Another important thing about our solution is it has automatic maintenance, meaning that it will rescan your website every 24 hours just to make sure that if you constantly make changes or updates to your website, we'll pick up on those changes to make sure that, you have ongoing accessibility. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Hey, thank you so much, Josue. That was a big one, but thank you so much for the details. And like you said, I think that's very important that we take the steps to become a more inclusive society, and it will help this e-commerce websites greatly for the customers. And also, it's really truly very easy, just as he said. So now we're opening the floor for questions. Please use the Q&A feature for that.
Gotcha.
There are a couple questions already that, Josue, if you want to dive into the first one, and we'll
Yeah.
just go ahead and continue. And please, if you do have any questions, use the Q&A feature because the comments are disabled.
I got
So we really need that to be in the Q&A. Thank you.
I see the first one here. What kind of legal protection does Accessibility offer to its clients, right? So real simple, it's one of those things where, here in the United States, anybody could get sued for anything, right? So even if you have the most accessible website in the world, there is a possibility where you may face, some sort of legal action, right? But when we come in, we offer our clients what we call a litigation support package. And this comes with the cost of every solution, without any extra, cost added to it. What that's going to do, we're going to supply you with the documentation needed to prove that your website is accessible and answered any unwarranted claims. On top of that, we also will provide you with a case manager who will walk you through the entire process step by step until the point where it starts to finish, as just so that you could have somebody from our team to guide you through that entire experience. So litigation support package is pretty cool. Another,
Yeah, there are a couple in there.
yeah. What makes Accessibility different from other accessibility providers? A few things. Like for example, our litigation support package. No other technology out there that I've seen of us supplies their clients with something like this. Also, Accessibility is one of the only, automated tools out there that will have, automatic scans every single day, just to make sure that even if you're making those changes daily, your accessibility is still top tier. Another thing, it's very cost effective, it's simple to use, and I love the little blue guy at the bottom. All right. Another one, what technical resources do I need to implement this? Real simple. It's a single line of code. I've never built a website. I'm not the most techiest person in the world. But we have installation guides for all CMS platforms out there, walk you through step by step on how to install. Single line of code. Once you apply it onto the back end of your website, that's all the work that you need to do for accessibility, then go do its thing on the back end. Is Access Widget compatible with any website, regardless of CMS platform? And short answer, yeah. We are compatible with all types of CMSs. In the case, no. So for all websites that do accept JavaScript, it's an easy, simple transition to get that on the site. Will Access Widget impact sites' performance or aesthetic, right? So Access Widget is meant to load asynchronously with the website, so it will be the last thing to fully render on the screen. So with that being said, it shouldn't have any site speed or performance, but at the same time, if there ever is a situation where you feel like your site is slowing down because of the widget, we have an amazing support team that will, answer any claims and make sure that, everything is working smoothly on the site. And for the aesthetic portion of the website, what it's going to do is going to allow you to have a website that you envision, right? Without making changes to, contrast or things like that, because it is going to allow the end user of the site to make those changes on their end without having to compromise the entire design of the site.
Yeah, and I would like to add to that I've never seen a performance issue in the past with adding accessibility. And it really is quite nice, like Josue said. It adds a little bit that you just click on it and you get all the different options depending on what you need to kind of adjust the way that you can see the screen. So you guys don't really need to go into those changes. You can just let accessibility do that, and the end user will choose what's best for them.
Thank you. How do I know what's being remediated on my website? So when I mentioned, with accessibility, making your website accessible, we're going to provide you with that right documentation again. So you do receive a compliance audit sent to your inbox every single month, where if you are making updates to the website, we're showing you what changes need to be made. As well, on top of that, if there are any extra things that, the widget wasn't able to get to, you will be notified of that as well. And you also get a dashboard. I'm sorry. You also get a dashboard where you're able to view all of these things too. Is Access Widget all that is needed to be compliant? That's a really good question. So when it comes to that, right, Access Widget is a powerful tool that can aid you in your accessibility journey. Compliance, though, is an ongoing effort. And no web accessibility solution can fully prevent a lawsuit. Like I said, in this country, anybody can get sued for anything. But combining accessibility's ecosystem solutions like a litigation support package, we're confident that, we're able to support your website in the case anything does come up to show that you are making those ongoing efforts with, our tool on the site. Another one, how will Google view the integration? Will it end up slowing down the website at all, or will Google view it as some sort of positive thing? So real simple, the Access Widget is a session-based tool, right? So it won't have an actual effect on the actual back end of your site. It's meant for its accessibility so that if a user goes on the site, they can make those changes on their end, right? Won't slow anything down for you guys. Really light tool. It is going to be positive just because it will, improve your, SEO in terms of, your bounce rate, as well as, the more accessible your website is, it will increase your Google rank on top of that. Can you list the top tips for making your website accessible? Is it colors, alt tags, etc.? So okay, that's a really good question. There is a list that the W3C, like a checklist, given that's out there on how to simply make your website accessible in a manual way. Like for example, some things like you can't put red on yellow, or you can't have specific colors overlapping others. Things like that are important. But yes, alt tags are super important as well, just because if you are selling, for example, a product on your site that does not have a proper alt tag on it, if a blind individual goes on the site and the screen reader is not compatible with said website, that means that you are missing out on that potential business for that. So it is important to alt tags, ARIA labels, keyboard navigation. Those to me are the most important things of accessibility, because front facing adjustments can be changed just by following that checklist. Another one, is there an integration required in order to make Accessibility work with NetSuite? No, single line of code. All you need to do is apply it onto the back end of the website. I could offer support in a situation where, you need help installing the website. I could be there for you. But yeah, real simple. I could send over like installation guides for you guys and see it's a step-by-step process.
Yeah, and we also, if you do have an assigned project manager, you can contact your assigned project manager and tell them you're interested in Accessibility. We will send you a link to where you have all the different plans and such. You can get in contact with them. And like Josué said, what you're going to get is a single line of code that has to be added to the website, which they can provide instructions to do, or we can take care of that for you as well. So it's really, truly very simple on the installation process.
The Accessibility widget covers the full screen on mobile devices. Is this modifiable, or locked? I'd have to talk to my technical team. That's something where, it does work on mobile, and I have seen situations where, it covers half of the screen, full screen. It's all depending on the website itself. So it would be a specific case by case basis there, but it's also good for mobile as well, because, all of us have phones, all of us shop on our phones. Having the ability to make those customizations on mobile as well is an extra added value.
That was record time. You answered 11 questions. That was amazing.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're doing amazing, actually. No, 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 don't be sorry. Uh, does anyone else have any other questions that you would like to drop in the Q&A feature? I think you were super thorough, and like we said, it's a simple installation. Um, it does allow your website to be accessible and more inclusive. And it is part of like a cultural shift in
Yep.
general. So it's really important to do it. And again, like we said, you also could avoid a potential lawsuit, which would be unfortunate. So if you have any other questions, we'll give you a minute to add them in there. And of course, if you do have questions after this Q&A will be posted in our YouTube channel if you want to see it later, if you want to share it with someone else in your company. And you can also send us questions if you have a project manager through our project manager, or you can contact us on the Tavano Team website as well. You can contact Accessibility as well, chat with them, look at different concerns you might have on how it would work, how it would look with your site and such. So
Yeah, and you
we'll
guys
go
could
ahead.
feel free to reach out to me as well. Use me as a resource. I'd love to educate you guys on, accessibility. If you have specific questions on, lawsuit trends, or, the importance of accessibility, please use me as a resource. It's one of those things where, accessibility is on the rise, and it's one of those things where, like, the quicker you act on it, the better, and a tool like Access Widget is, in my eyes, one of the most simplest ways to make your website accessible. But with that being said, it's not the only way to make your website accessible. So if you want a alternative, that's something that we can offer as well. That's something we can speak to as well. Accessibility is not one of those things where it's everybody has to do it one certain way. We could tailor it to you, your business, and how you envision, the accessibility on your website.
Yeah, and it also changes for every single site that we see, and whether you do B2B or B2C as well. Um, So yeah, it changes from client to client. In general, when we're working with implementations, we have some clients come in with a special set of branding or colors or things, and we do have to tell them in some cases that some things are not accessible. But like Josue was saying, that's not really the full spectrum of everything you want to cover when you're making your website accessible. It's not just making sure that you're not using certain colors or a font or that things are not visible enough. It's the alt tags, it's plenty of things. And this way you can really tailor that to just your customers and they can do it themselves.
Yeah. And we have a bunch of different clients from all types of, from e-commerce to healthcare to real estate and things like that. And a lot of them do come to us for that ease of mind that we were able to provide them for accessibility. I've met personally with tens, 20, 30 different website owners that have a lawsuit in hand, and they come to us, because, in many cases, we're either able to get rid of that claim or able to reduce their their settlement significantly, right? And we had a crazy good success story the other day where we had I want to say a plastic surgeon website, who received a lawsuit for website accessibility, and they went all the way to court, and the judge dismissed the case saying that, Access Widget is a viable way of making an effort for accessibility. So seeing things like that just goes to show you that, it's on everybody's radar, and tools like this, technology like this makes the everyday business. They now have the ability to make their website accessible without having to break the bank.
Yeah, and I think that if you guys go into Accessibil's website, you will also see a lot of demos and different sites that use it, and you can try and see it for yourself. I've done it in sites for clients that use it, and it's very interesting. You just hit the widget and you get all of the different options for what you can do and what you're looking at. So really, I encourage you to look for yourselves and see what it is, and even for, like just try it out, see what it looks like. But
Yeah.
it has a lot of options.
And we
Yeah.
also offer a 7-day free trial as well. So if you do go to our website, you want to test it out, you're more than welcome to. No credit card needed. Also, if you're on the site, you'll see me on the site as well. I was there, I am there. And that's pretty cool. But also, if you guys want to spend time with me, where I give you a technical demonstration of the solution on your time, or if you have your own specific questions, I could send you guys over my calendar link as well, where we can meet.
And you might have gotten this information. You might have seen that when you register for the webinar, you could have seen some emails for the reminders. And one thing that we included there that I think is pretty interesting is that the accessibility team will assess your website and tell you how accessible it is. And I think that's really important to kind of get an idea of what you're working with and what your end customer is facing when they go into your site specifically. But all of that, it's going to be in the material that we share. We'll share the recording of this webinar, and we'll also be sending some resources on accessibility as well. So you got all of that. If you are here and you register, then you just gonna get that information at the end of it. Um, are there questions there? I think, Josue, you know what? You did such a good job explaining everything that just there are no more questions.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Okay. I think we can wrap it up now. There are no more questions then. And like I said, this is going to be available in the Tamino Team YouTube channel. And it's also going to be getting into your inboxes shortly. If you have questions, you can reach out to Josue, you can reach out to us, reach to your project manager, reach out to the Tamino team through the website, reach out to Josue, to Accessibility. It was really nice to have you for this topic that is very important for us. And I really do appreciate your work, Josue. You did a fantastic
I
job. I know
appreciate
you do this, but you did a fantastic job. So I appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you guys for the platform. I appreciate it.
No problem. We love share with you and having this partnership. And for everyone that's here, thank you for joining. We really appreciate it as well. And I hope you'll reach back to us with some questions and you'll make your website accessible pretty soon. Thank you so much. I hope everyone has a lovely day. Bye bye.